now I can walk in this confidence like, no, man, I'm a vibe.
Mm-hmm.
This is who God created me to be. Like I didn't used to be that girl.
Yeah.
I was a people pleaser, and
Yeah.
it was whatever you said, I'll do.
Wow. Welcome to Set Life, where we tell stories from our industry. I'm Kelly Leger, and this is Amber Buteau. Hey guys, welcome to Set Life. This is Hosanna Arceri, and I am Kelly Leger, and we have, again, a special guest with us. We have had her on before, but we had to have her back because there's just too much in that tank that we need to get out. And so, welcome, Mimi Johnson.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yes, we're excited. So if you haven't seen other episodes, or maybe this episode airs before the other one and you're just going to have to wait to hear all this stuff. But Mimi is an awesome singer-songwriter, leader of women from young to older, not old, older, and everything in between, entrepreneur,
life coach,
mental health advocate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I could go on, and you can, anything I miss, you're welcome to tell me. But Mimi Johnson, tell me, fill in the blanks just a little bit on what I missed there, and introduce yourself.
You pretty much nailed everything.
Okay,
pretty much nailed everything.
Okay.
Founder and CEO of a nonprofit organization, geared more towards impoverished communities. But I also have two events that's connected to Passion to Give. One is called Inspire Hope, which is a mental health event that I just put on for the very first time this year. Just created this year, and it's for the community. So, I mean, I had clinical psychologists there, licensed professional counselors there, and just invited the community out to come. And it was an unplugged dialogue. And we talked all things mental health and just having people share their stories. But I also have She Inspires, which is connected to Passion to Give. And that's where we are women empowering women, supporting each other, inspiring each other, giving hope, and just sharing our stories. That too is an unplugged dialogue.
Wow.
Unplugged dialogue is my word. I love it because I love raw. I love authentic. I love real.
Yeah.
I don't like to sugarcoat or hide anything. Let's share our stories. Why? Because our stories are not for us.
Yes.
Our stories is to help someone else get through what we've been through.
Right.
To give hope. And so my passion is just to be a beacon of hope. I wear it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wear the hats all the time.
Even without the hat, she wears it. Come on.
Yes.
I love it. No, that's amazing. Let's talk about, entertainment industry. We're an entertainment industry show, and what we do at our studio here and whatnot. Our industry is just tough for people. It's an industry, It's like one of those industries that everybody wants to be in, and it's hard to get in, and it's hard to stay in, and all of those things. And so people get knocked around all the time, whether you're an actor, whether you're a musician or whatever. People are treated a lot less like people and more like a number or a cattle or whatever you want to call it.
That's in the church too, though.
Oh man, it's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about hope, right? So understanding that people are going to walk out a whole lot of stuff that knocks on that hope. You have a story that I know now, and I know in the industry, outside of the industry, et cetera. How can people help people walk through? How do they walk in hope? How do they stay inspired? How do they stay? It's uphill in our industry. I guess what I'm saying. It's not easy. Is anything easy in life? No. But our industry in particular, it's not like you just go get a degree, you go get a job, and all of a sudden you're into the industry where, like, you can in a lot of things. Our industry is different. There's a lot more things going on. How do you stay the course? What makes you stay the course? What makes you, keep the joy in it, not ride out the roller coaster continually? What does that look like for people? How can they do that?
You have to believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be confident in who God created you to be. For a minute, I didn't believe in myself. I was a full-time people pleaser. Why was I a full-time people pleaser? Because of the lack of confidence. My self-worth was, and I felt, it's just easy for me to just help everybody else, please everybody else because I'm not good enough. I didn't believe that I mattered. So walking into a room full of business women or just people, business people, I just didn't feel like I belonged.
Right.
So I've walked into those rooms before without Mimi Johnson now.
Uh-huh.
Now the old me, I would walk in and like, I don't belong here. I'm not good enough. I used to be terrified to even talk about Mimi Johnson, who I was and what I did, because for me, I cared about what people thought.
Right.
And if you shared what you do, you're boasting. Now I can walk in this confidence like, no, man, I'm a vibe. This is who God created me to be. Like I didn't used to be that girl.
Yeah.
I was a people pleaser and
Yeah.
it was whatever you said, I'll do.
Wow. Yeah.
And honestly, and it wasn't just outside of the church. I also did that in the church. I was a people pleaser in the church because a lot of times, and I hate to jump on this subject, but we got to do better in the church. Church hurt is real. We have to do better because even walking into a church building, we can forget why we're there and we can treat it as a business. So I experienced both ends, which is why I shared with you before that I hated the church.
Yeah.
I hated people. People who know me know that I love God and love people.
Yeah,
That is who I like. Literally, I can't express enough the love that I truly have for people. I can't express that. People, when they see me, they know that I love God and love people, but it started deteriorating.
Right.
Not gonna lie.
Right.
I was over it. And when you start speaking your truth, you're blacklisted. And that happened to me because I was an advocate for other people being hurt. I was an advocate for myself because I didn't speak up for myself before. But even, and let's go back to, because I don't want to talk about the church part.
Yeah, no. Well, and if I didn't mention it in my talking about Mimi here, she's of course a singer-songwriter, but also a worshiper. I'm not going to say a worship leader. She's a worshiper. So it's not just a position; it's who she is, and she does lead worship. And so, church is a whole nother thing that we get into from time to time for sure. So you're definitely not off base talking about it. I was thinking when you were talking, I was thinking about so a lot of my experience. I was a director and producer for a long time, and I've had hundreds and hundreds of auditions where I'm auditioning talent, in LA or here in Houston or wherever we were casting, and oftentimes you have somebody who comes in and they don't have the self-confidence, right? They're just they want it so bad.
Yeah.
They're going after this thing so bad to be an actor, to have this part. They're their whole identity is wrapped up in if they get this or they don't get this part. And we know what happens most of the time. Most of the time, they're not going to get the part because can't everybody get the part. So if your identity is constantly wrapped up in that, it's just always I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. And it doesn't mean that at all. All it meant was we were looking for something very specific for this, right? Yeah. And so that's obviously a whole conversation on identity. But you would walk it in, and it affects the audition too. Yeah. It affected the Mimi now and the Mimi who was affects atmospheres in rooms entirely differently, and how you're able to help and how you're received, how you're even received. We wear those things. Yeah. We wear, all the self stuff, whether good or bad, right? Yeah. And so when people would come into those auditions, and you could tell they were real nervous, and I promise you, I was the nicest director around. Most of those guys are just jerks, and they're just next, no, you don't look like the, no, next, oh, what's wrong with you? Just bad people. And so I would really try to get them to relax because I just wanted them to be themselves. Yeah. I'm I don't need you to. Your whole life is not dependent upon this thing right here. But then you would get somebody who came in and already knew that. They already knew that their identity wasn't found, and if you gave them that role or not. And you know what? Those people did the absolute best. Yeah. I heard someone say, actually, I think maybe on the show quite some time ago, they said, a relaxed thing is better than a tense thing. And those people would come in so relaxed, confident in themselves. They're going to be themselves. And I got to see who they really were. And that's what I'm trying to cast. You know, you can give a real performance. You don't have to. We would always tell people, and when we're coaching them in acting and their things, I'd especially for on camera, not theatrical is a big thing, but on camera would be like, hey, stop acting. You're acting too much. Stop acting, because they are acting, but you want them to be themselves. Because the camera picks up everything. You don't have to overdo it. You know, and that's what people were constantly doing. Having to, it's like you're putting this thing out there that's not you, because you're having to perform. And you know, like I was just trying to get people to relax and be themselves. So just be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. And when I could get them there, I could finally see who they were if I wanted to cast that. That's what I was looking for, you know. And so there's so much to be said about that. That's what I heard, and that whole thing you said about the Mimi who was and the Mimi who is now. You know,
and also rejection too. I struggled with that so. Oh my gosh. Like I wore rejection. You could see the spirit of rejection when I walk into a room. Like, okay, they're not going to choose me anyway. So I'm just going to do this anyhow because, I'm not worth it. You know, that's going back to the songwriting. I remember walking into a room, just feeling just not, just the rejection and feeling like, oh, I'm just so not worth it. And I started writing the song. That's how long it's been. I've never put this song out, and it's just with a guitar. Man, I wish you should have brought your guitar, bro.
You know.
Oh my gosh, it's called Worth It. He loves you even with your scars. He loves you just the way you are, 'cause you are worth it. Like I had to start singing that because I wore rejection well. I wore it well. And before I can step for whether it was an interview in corporate America or whether it was walking into a church, whatever it was already me beating myself up. Like, what is the point of me walking into this room? They don't want me anyhow. Every single time.
Wow. Yeah. And that's a lot of people. A lot of people have believed those lies and those things. And, you know, and let's face it, if you don't have another voice, that's the only voice you're ever hearing, that's what you're gonna believe. That's why, you know, I love hearing your story, and I love how, you know, God got a hold of you.
Oh my gosh.
And
He loved me back to life.
No doubt. And it's well said. You know, you're helping so many other young girls now, you know. Tell me about that, you know, as much as you can. I mean, but tell me about how you're helping them. Tell me about how the Mimi who was and Mimi who is now. I love that parallel. Tell me about how do you see yourselves? First of all, tell people what you're doing with that, with helping all these people in the mentoring and so forth. And then, do you see yourself when you get in there?
I do, and I think that's why I'm so focused and geared towards self-love and empowerment coaching, because I'm certified to coach in whatever field I want to, but I choose self-love and empowerment because I didn't love myself. So now I'm helping all these young girls with low self-esteem and rejection and feeling like they have to be perfect, and the people pleasers out there, just showing them what it's like to walk in confidence and to walk with that boldness that God has put on the inside of them, you know? And there are young ladies who will shoot me a text message and say, today I'm struggling. Or I'm tired. A lot of folks know my story when it comes to mental health, you know, back in the day. And I'm so open about that, of trying to just end things, right? And just be done. And I receive messages all the time. I'm tired. Don't know if I can go on. So I want to be that voice, right? I want to be that person that they can reach out to. So I'm like, hey, even if it's 2:00 in the morning, call me. Sometimes I don't have to say a word. A lot of times I don't, especially in those moments. I let them talk because they're not being heard. You have people who struggle with, they say, oh, she's angry. Is she really angry? Or has she ever been heard? Maybe she's vocalizing because she's never been heard. I struggled with that anger for so long. I was so bitter. But it's because I never was heard, you know? And now I am like the voice for the voiceless, you know, for these young women. Even women. I have women, I'm talking 40s, 50s, 60 years old, that reaches out to me, who still say, I feel like I'm just existing. I don't know my purpose.
Wow. Amazing.
Or thank you for sharing my story because I'm not bold enough to do that yet.
Wow. You know, I remember hearing, I used to spend a lot of time up in Arctic Canada, way up, like, you know, the Inuit, polar bear, northern lights.
All Arctic is cold up there, dude.
It's cold up there. It's cold.
He loves
But-
bears.
Oh,
Yeah, he
girl.
does.
Oh my goodness.
Girl, she's
Well,
telling on
the
me.
podcast don't know. We
telling
had
on
a
me.
long bear story
I
before this.
can't, Okay, context, people. Context. I just flew in. I come straight to the studio. I was with my family in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. Literally less than 24 hours ago, there was a bear trying to get in our cabin on a door. I'm holding my hand against the door. There's a glass window, and I'm looking face to face with the bear. His paw, my hand, is what's happening. So it's a bear. I don't know. It's
Bear
a theme.
day.
It's
Yeah,
a bear day.
bear day.
It's a bear.
Bear day.
Okay, so context. Bears. Gosh, you know. So this happens from time to time. We, do this. Well. I would spend time up there with the bears, and I remember talking to like some social workers up there, right? And so where the places that I would go, they have a ton of issues. Very, very small town. Might be an island with 600 people in the middle of the Arctic Ocean. Like there's all kind of issues that small communities, you know, can, you know, be. Well, in particular, like they just had like there was just a lot of issues. She'd come in as a social worker, and meeting one, sitting down with a young girl, young man, whatever the case may be. From the very get-go, first sentence was spilling their whole life story, telling them everything. And the social worker didn't even know how to respond at first, because most of her job was trying to get past all the symptoms, the anger, this, that. All she did was trying to get the onion peeled back so she could get to the heart. But when she got there, it was all heart. They didn't have anything. They weren't hiding anything. It was just like, she was like, she had to go back to, I don't know. She was so used to, that's what she thought her job was going to be there too, is unpeeling the onion. But their heart were already exposed. They were open, you know, to the whole thing. And so you maybe think of that when you're talking about, you know, the symptoms, because it's really the anger, the whatever it is. A lot of times guys in particular, I'm sure it's everybody has their things, but guys in particular, we tend to be angry. We won't cry, maybe eventually, but it starts with anger, but really it's hurt.
Yeah.
We're hurt. And so we get angry as opposed to just going and crying like my wife would. If she was hurt, she'd just cry.
Yeah.
But me, I might like, you know, want to do something else, right? But it wouldn't be tears initially, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And you know, and so, but that, so when you, gosh, I don't want to know, this is like a whole can of worms, right? But when you mentor and you help and you're walking all these things out with people, is it like right out of the gate that you are helping them from day one, or is there things to peel back? Are you getting into the heart, or is everyone different? Or
Everyone is different, and they're layers. And you want to get to know this person first, but you also, for me, I need to see if I can even help you. Right. So that's why you know, life coaches or even therapists, they have to do this consultation,
right?
Because they're diving into who are you, what's the issue here, before you can even make a decision on, can I help you or not?
Right.
A lot of times when I meet someone, I can already tell, like, if someone is I believe that's discernment too, because my discernment be on 10. I walk around in the Holy Spirit. It's like it's me and Jesus. And so I can walk into a store, I can feel people's pain. I didn't understand that at first. I went to counseling before, to Pastor Pace. Shout out to, I love him. I was 15 years old, and I did not understand why I was feeling this pain. Every time I walk into a store, I'm like, what is that? Every time I walk next to someone, I can feel like they're hurt, or I can even feel if somebody has negative energy. I just never understood it. Now that I'm older, my discernment is on 10. You can't really you can't pull a lot of things over my head. You just can't. I am very tuned in with the Holy Spirit everywhere that I go. And I'm always asking the Holy Spirit to lead and guide me, you know, and just to be that guider, because I never wanted to be myself when I walk into a room. So my prayer is always, God, the moment I step foot out of my door, let them see you. The moment I open my mouth to speak, let them hear you when I speak. Whether I'm speaking or singing, I want it to be you.
Right.
You know, but I don't even know where that even came from.
I love it.
Good.
I don't even know where they came from. But yeah, going back to like diving in, it's really a case by case basis.
Yeah.
You know, and back in the day for corporate America, I've been like my corporate America job was recruiting and talent acquisition specialist, right?
Right.
Y'all, I had no idea why I was doing the things I was doing. I never was like working, getting paid for coaching at the time. I just was doing it for free, not knowing that God was preparing me for now, right? So I would have a Kleenex box in my office while I'm interviewing these candidates, you know, to place them at jobs and stuff, right? But they just start feeling free to just start pouring things out. There were moments that I'm like, I would go and shake someone's hand before bringing them to my office. And I'm like, God, please not now, because I can feel like those moments. And the moment they come in my office, I'm interviewing them and I have to stop. I said, I'm so sorry. I've never done this before. I always say that, but I have, right? And I'm like, I've never done this before. And I don't know what religion you are, but I have to be obedient. And I literally just start speaking. And tears start flowing out these ladies' eyes, right? And they just start spilling. And like, I didn't hire them, but I did coach them on what to do next time, because some of them I couldn't. But there were some of them that needed to meet me for me to just be that light to them.
Yeah.
I never knew what my purpose was back then. I just was coaching these young ladies while I was interviewing for jobs to help them get jobs. You know what I mean? Now I'm looking back like, oh my gosh.
Yep.
God, you're so awesome.
Yes. Well, we get like the standard of the world at large is category. This can work here. This can work here. Here's how it's supposed to be here. Well, God don't live in no box.
Right.
You know, so I mean, when you fully yielded vessel, he's all over everything.
Yeah.
You know, and every place that, you know, you let him be, right? And gosh, I was just thinking, what was I thinking about? I was thinking about how all of this history, the older we get, you know, I mean, you get more and more history. Yes, you get history with God, and that's good. But you get history, period, that you end up inspiring you to create with a song, the film, a documentary, whatever it is that we're doing, right? You know, people talk about writer's block. I got writer's block. I'm like, I can't relate. Never had it. Don't understand it. It's just like a matter of not being inspired. It's a matter of something's not moving you. You're not being moved.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's like I don't get that. Like, it's a matter of inspiration.
Yeah.
And so like, I love telling young filmmakers or people in media and whatnot, I'm like, go get inspired, go be moved by something, you know, and you know, good, bad, and indifferent, life will move you and cause you to write and cause you to create and cause you, you know, to do anything. But, you know, let things inspire you, and then learn how to like stop and meditate. And we get so fast. This world's fast without stopping and meditating on, okay, why did that make me feel that way? Or why did I react that way? You know, for us as filmmakers, you know, those things are always end up coming out in like a character or somebody we're writing about, or every story you ever heard. We mentor quite a few people ourselves. And every story that you hear like starts becoming like something that not to, I say this carefully, right? Not to uncover someone. We always protect everybody that we love and we're walking with, but to help someone else. How can we take that which we've learned, that's what someone else's story, to help someone else, right? So obviously you do that in a very careful way. But it all becomes inspiration for everything else, whether it's our own story or somebody else's story, or we figure out how to do that. And like, oh, that's how you work that thing out. Yeah. You can't write songs deep. You can't write songs or deep film or script without that. Yeah. It'll be real surface. And we know it. We know the songs that are very surface and Mickey Mouse and, you know, movies that are that way. They're shallow. Yeah. They don't have that. There's no gravitas. It doesn't come from that place, you know? Yeah. So all those things are, you know, are producing in us, you know? And it takes, and, you know, I believe it takes God to even know how to rightly divide all that. Like, What am I going to pull from? What am I going to write? What should I, thank you for revealing that to me. I don't want you to talk about that though. Yeah. That was for you. Mm-hmm. You know, this is for the world. Now this is for, you know, just a whole can.
Well, I think one of the coolest things that kind of unifies, I always say industry, but like in music and worship, right? And then obviously in film and production, the thing that's unifying that is the score. It's the music. I don't even have to have something on a visual if I have the right score, or vice versa. If I have a great visual and the wrong score, it's really just, man, it drops the whole thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so I kind of even wanted to ask you on that side of things, like, because again, I'm more on the, like, I'll do film, but I'm definitely a music buff, and like I'll play, and I'm in worship at church. And so there's actually one of our mutual friends says it in a fun way. She says that she hears songs in color. And I was like, man, that's so unique, because it's like, I love coloring in video, so I need you to like explain that. And it's not just that that's touching me in an emotional way, but there's inspiration on that. And so I kind of want to, I guess, even pose the question to you as like the singer-songwriter is, man, how many times do you get it where, you heard a melody and that melody depicts what you're writing? And then I know on the other side, there's like, oh, man, the Lord gave me there's words, there's the lyrics. Now, how do I match it with the melody? Can you like talk about a little bit of just that process? Because I feel like there's people who will relate to one or the other, but it's like maybe they won't see that side of it. Or like maybe I'm left brain with it and that's a right brain kind of thing. And like just explain how you kind of navigate that.
Man, I feel like I'm just in a whole different world when it comes to writing, though, because the melody comes with just, I really can't explain how, because everybody's different. And if I hear a melody in my head, or I start singing a melody, dude, it just has to be something that's a hard question for me to explain, because I really can't explain how I write, or the creative side of the melody and the lyrics. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't. I'm just trying to
it's hard.
picture what you're asking, because the way I write is just different.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. There are moments where being in a writing session, a group session, I feel like it's more difficult because the way I write is different. And I remember being invited to a songwriting retreat. I was on writer's block, but I was writer's block because I wasn't inspired. But I wasn't inspired because you just told me that we didn't want to invite you before because you just came out of a depression. But I'm invited to this writer's retreat, and now we're in a group, and I don't even know what's right now, because all I'm thinking is, you didn't want me at first because I came out. But I'm like, do you not know that those songs are birthed out of brokenness? Those are the best songs. So I'm not sure if I'm answering your question as far as...
To a degree, yeah. No, you are.
He said to a degree.
Oh, I mean, because it's such a hard... I asked it because I know it's a hard one. Because being somebody who does that, like I'm always on the side of, I just hear the melody first. And I think there's plenty of people in the industry that like have that view, but I know there's always ones on the other side that like, no, I get the words first, and then I got to go find the melodies. And I just think it's so cool because in worship, especially, or any songwriting, I think even secular artists can agree on this. There's a degree of inspiration. They may not know where that comes from. And I think as believers, we know like that's the Lord. The Lord gives you an inspiration for something, whether it's a creative in a melody or the creative way to say wording. They just don't recognize what that voice is telling them that that's it. But I think it's so cool that as believers, we get to step into that where we get both of those. The Lord's going to give me the melodies. We'll have that all the time on Thursday nights or on church on Sundays. And like we will always say this on our sets, like we don't practice spontaneity. Like that's of the Lord. Like it's an interpretation of what he's given you in the moment of inspiration. And so I think like, I definitely knew I asked a hard question there, but it's because I wanted to highlight that it's not something that we come up with. Right. I mean, that inspiration is from him to get that melody because it came, and I have to like honor that with the obedience of a yes. I think there's other times too where you'll have melodies or songs, and they come and go quick. Yeah. Where I'm like, I didn't record it. I didn't write it. I didn't honor like the inspiration that came. And like, do you feel like there's been times of that where you're like, oh man, like I had it, but where was it? Yes. Right. And that happens a lot. Yeah. It does happen a lot. And I don't like when that happens because I'm singing it over and over again. I'm like, oh man, this is nice. Right. And there are moments that I have like just come up with the melody, just washing dishes or something.
and I'm singing a song over and over again, but by the time I go get my phone or recorder, I don't remember anything that I just,
Yeah.
it drives me insane.
Yes.
But there are moments where I know it's the Lord
Mhm.
because he brings that back to you.
Yes. Yep.
It always comes back when you
Yes.
know that it's
Mhm.
a God moment,
Yeah.
you know, or so just, it's, yeah.
Wow.
That's
I love
awesome.
those moments though, man. It's just, you know, like sometimes I can feel the energy of wanting to create a song that's upbeat, right? By the way, have a song that I just released a song called Vibe. That's why I love the word vibe. I was in that space of like, okay, it's time to start encouraging folks like, man, you are a vibe kind of.
So we get a little taste here.
You are a vibe. Mm-mm. And no one can be you. A shining star.
Mm.
There's nobody like you.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Mm-mm. Can you feel it? There's nothing like it. This is a mood and it's time to embrace it. Life is a journey, it's what you make it. But you got this. Yeah, you got this. That just came out.
Mimi Johnson, everybody. Wow.
That's a reminder for everybody that you were created for a reminder for everybody that you were created for greatness. Can't nobody beat you at being you. So be different, be you. Never let anybody put you in a box, okay? And yes, you may get pushed to the back, you may be overlooked, but keep shining. Just keep shining.
That's awesome.
I cannot think of a better way to end this
Yeah.
specific episode. Mimi, tell them how they can find you, get a hold of you, be mentored by you, whatever you want to tell them.
Sure. You can find me on Instagram at Mimi Johnson. Mimi J. Johnson. I'm sorry, that's with 2 J's. And Mimi is M-E-M-E on Instagram. But you can also connect with me at www.mimijohnson.com. M-E-M-E. MimiJohnson.com.
Come on.
Wow. Well,
This was fun.
this is awesome. Kidding me? I love it. We don't always get a song on here.
Bro, wait. Got to hear singing
I
on
know.
the podcast. This is great.
Listen, I really want to rap, right? But no one sees it. No, nobody. Let me tell you, nobody sees the potential on that, okay? My friends tell me to stick to singing
Oh,
all the
come
time.
on.
Yeah,
Oh.
in my heart, I want to, I just feel like I'm a rapper. But you know those rappers who always got to come through?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
That's me.
Mm.
I'm always start off with, I'm going to come through. That's because, that lets you know that I can't rap a lick.
Oh, I like it. She's going to throw it down. All right, we're out of here. Hey, this has been Set Life. I'm Kelly Lejay. This is Hosanna Arceri. We've had Mimi Johnson. We'll see you next time.